David Muir, ABC's World News Tonight, America's most watched newscast. Now streaming same day with all the breaking news of the day on Disney Plus. Most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney Plus every night.
Breaking news tonight, the massive strike halting service on the nation's busiest commuter rail system. More than 50 million Americans bracing for days of dangerous storms, and a car plows into pedestrians in Italy, causing multiple injuries. First, the union workers for New York's Long Island Railroad walking off the job. That strike leaving hundreds of thousands of commuters in limbo, potentially creating a traffic nightmare. The months-long negotiations collapsing overnight. Now the blame game. New York's governor and President Trump pointing fingers at each other, and what commuters fear could happen on Monday. A multi-day severe weather outbreak is threatening millions across the plains and Midwest, with powerful thunderstorms, damaging winds, and possible tornadoes. And the summer-like heat coming to the east. Our weather team tracking it all. Horror on the streets of Italy. A suspect slams his car into a crowd of pedestrians and then allegedly pulled out a knife. People in the crowd tackling him to the ground. What we're learning about the injured. The stunning new twist in the Alex Murdaugh case. Just days after that remarkable reversal of his double murder convictions, South Carolina prosecutors say he could now face the death penalty in a new murder trial. A popular Pocket Watch collaboration igniting a global frenzy. Fans camping outside for days and stores forced to close amid chaos and fights. A close call for two fishermen in California pulled from the chilly water after their boat capsized. And the new images tonight of a dramatic rescue after a different boat burst into flames in Miami Beach. Why one of the most memorable jingles in decades
1877 cars for kids
is getting pulled from the airwaves in California. And America Strong tonight, the clever firefighters and how they saved a Little League playoff game.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight.
Good evening, and thanks for joining us on this Saturday. I'm Wade Johnson. We begin tonight with breaking news. A crippling blow to the country's busiest rail system. Union workers walking off the job early this morning. Hundreds of New York's Long Island Railroad workers hitting the picket lines, paralyzing the system. Talks breaking down over proposed pay increases and health care costs. The strike leaves hundreds of thousands of commuters in limbo. And now the blame game. New York Governor Kathy Hochul and President Trump pointing fingers at each other for the potential commuting nightmare. This is the first strike on this rail system in more than 30 years, and it could get much worse by Monday morning. ABC's Morgan Norwood leads us off from Queens, New York.
Tonight, hundreds of rail workers on the nation's largest commuter rail system now walking off the job and hitting the picket lines.
We don't get it. Shut it down.
The Long Island Railroad, the main source for 250,000 daily riders in and out of New York City, brought to a halt.
I'm sorry that the MTA has decided to put you guys in the middle of our dispute.
The unions representing Long Island rail workers and the MTA negotiating for months, but just before midnight, the talks collapsing.
After 2 days of round-the-clock negotiations, the parties were unable to reach a deal.
You know what we proposed? Half of what an average state worker pays for their health care costs. That's what we proposed.
The talks stalling on negotiations over a pay increase between 4.5% and 5% and health care costs for some 3,500 workers. The Trump administration attempted to broker a deal through an emergency board last fall. And today, New York Governor Kathy Hochul blaming the president for the failed talks. Writing, the disruption that Long Islanders face starting tonight is the direct result of reckless actions by the Trump administration to cut mediation short and push these negotiations toward a strike. Trump immediately firing back on social media, writing, "I have nothing to do with it. Never even heard about it until this morning. She just blurted out, it's President Trump's fault. No, Kathy, it's your fault. And now, looking over the facts, you should not have allowed this to happen." And while politicians trade blame, passengers left scrambling to find any way into the city, potentially creating major headaches for fans heading to games. The Yankees, Mets, and Knicks warning fans to plan ahead. Passengers trying to get to JFK Airport staring down a travel nightmare too. JFK urging travelers to budget extra time. Anthony Carlo from our New York station WABC on Long Island.
The new Hyde Park LIRR station in Nassau County is a ghost town on a beautiful Saturday. This is obviously disrupting weekend travel plans for so many people who tell us they are hoping and praying it's all resolved before the work week begins.
For many commuters, that means several hours away on Long Island. This railroad, the most affordable way into the city, helping them avoid tolls, costly ride shares, parking, and surging gas prices.
I'm able to get on the train and I can get back to Ronkonkoma from Penn Station in about an hour and 20 minutes, whereas if I tried to drive home, it would be 3 hours easy.
And we are just getting word from New York Governor Kathy Hochul, who says she just got an update from the MTA on the status of negotiations and also plans for alternate service, but she did not elaborate on what those plans, what those solutions would look like. In the meantime, this terminal here sitting nearly empty, very few passengers. The barricades are up, both sides still far apart, and service at a standstill tonight, Whit.
And tens of thousands eager for a resolution. All right, Morgan Norwood for us. Now to the more than 50 million Americans bracing for days of severe storms in the heartland. This after lightning and powerful winds hammered parts of southern Kansas. Let's get right to meteorologist Danny Beckstrom from our New York station WABC. And Danny, these dangerous storms are firing up again tonight.
Several days in the center of the country. We're in the middle of the stretch right now, but each day those storms get a little stronger into the start of the week. Tonight we're watching parts of the plains and Midwest from eastern Colorado into Iowa. Very large hail, destructive wind, but we're also looking at slow-moving thunderstorms, and that brings in a flood threat to parts of the Midwest. As we move into tomorrow, many of the same cities dealing with that severe threat. Very large hail, destructive wind. But tomorrow we're actually looking at a stronger tornado risk, especially in portions of Nebraska into Sioux Falls, especially during the evening. By Monday, still active, but for a larger area from North Texas into the Great Lakes. Now, east of these storms, it's all about the heat. We're building in a real summer-like feel. We're talking 90s in places like D.C. and New York. Feels especially warm after a cooler start to May. Whit?
Yeah, days of these changes ahead. All right, thank you, Danny. Overseas now to a terrifying scene unfolding in Italy. A car ramming into a crowd of pedestrians, a suspect getting out of the vehicle and then allegedly brandishing a knife. Let's bring in ABC's Marcus Moore. And Marcus, witnesses ultimately tackled the suspect.
Yeah, that's right. With some of the victims and bystanders chasing down the suspect after authorities say he plowed into pedestrians on a sidewalk in the northern Italian city of Modena. At least 8 people were hurt. 4 of those victims are in critical condition tonight. One woman pinned against a window and both of her legs needing to be amputated, according to the city's mayor. A security video posted on X shows the car driving on the sidewalk and that driver getting out and then running. Witnesses said the driver attempted to get away and that he had a knife, but he didn't stab anyone. He was stopped by those pedestrians and later police and taken into custody. Right now, authorities are trying to determine what the motive was or what led to this incident. Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni expressing her solidarity with the victims and their families. With.
All right, Marcus Moore with those new details. Next tonight, new information we're following about an unprecedented deal involving President Trump. Sources tell ABC News the president would drop his lawsuit against the IRS in exchange for the creation of a nearly $2 billion fund to compensate allies who claim they were targeted by the Biden administration. ABC's Olivia Rubin at the White House tonight.
Tonight, new details on the extraordinary deal President Trump is negotiating with his own government, all using taxpayer dollars. Sources say President Trump is preparing to drop his $10 billion lawsuit against the IRS in exchange for the creation of a nearly $2 billion fund to pay out his allies who claim they were targeted by the Biden administration. Tonight, ABC News learning the fund would be called the President Donald J. Trump Truth and Justice Commission, funded to the tune of $1.776 billion of taxpayer money.
Donald Trump is setting up a $1.7 billion political slush fund for the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers and his other political lieutenants and hangers-on.
While Trump would not be personally eligible to receive payments, sources said entities associated with him would be. Others who could be paid, the 1,600 individuals charged in the January 6th Capitol attack, pardoned by Trump on his first day in office. Prominent MAGA loyalists applauding the move. Roger Stone, who was indicted and found guilty as part of special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation, asking, "Where do I apply?" The unprecedented arrangement even alarming some Republicans.
I don't even know how that's allowable to happen. Trump sued the IRS after his tax information was leaked to the press in 2019 and 2020, a government contractor pleading guilty in 2023. Now, sources saying the deal came together after the Justice Department and the White House abandoned a months-long effort to try to pay Trump directly.
And with sources caution this arrangement could still change before it's finalized. And tonight, it's not clear how that judge overseeing this case would respond. Those sources say DOJ doesn't even believe it requires the court's approval here. Whit.
All right, Olivia, thank you. And they'll have much more on that proposal tomorrow on This Week. Now to the crisis in Cuba. The U.S. ramping up the pressure on the government as crippling blackouts and a teetering economy have sparked unrest on the island. And tonight, what sources are now saying about a possible indictment of the 94-year-old former president, Raul Castro. Here's ABC's Alex Murdaugh.
Tonight, the island nation of Cuba largely in the dark, as its energy grid is on the verge of collapse. Extensive blackouts across the country have sparked protests. Cubans banging on pots and pans, shouting, "Turn the lights on." Many without power up to 22 hours a day, as a U.S. oil blockade and sanctions have caused a crippling energy and fuel shortage, part of an ongoing pressure campaign by the Trump administration.
They need help, as you know, and you talk about a declining country. They are really a nation or a country in decline, so we're going to see. We have a lot to talk about on Cuba.
This week, during an unannounced visit to Havana, CIA Director John Ratcliffe delivering a message from the president that the U.S. is prepared to engage with Cuba on economic and security issues, but only if Cuba makes fundamental changes, claiming the island nation is a safe haven for countries like Russia and China. The Cuban government insists it poses no threat to U.S. national security, nor will it allow actions against any other nation to be carried out from Cuba. The U.S. State Department has offered Cuba $100 million in humanitarian aid, an offer Cuban officials say they are considering, though U.S. officials tell ABC News there are disagreements as to how that money would be distributed.
And sources tell ABC News that the U.S. could announce an indictment of former Cuban President Raul Castro in the coming days, a move that would further escalate tensions between the two countries, though Castro is now 94 and stepped down as Cuba's Communist Party leader in 2021. Wait.
Alex Murdaugh, we appreciate it. Now to the dramatic turn in the Alex Murdaugh case. Just days after that stunning reversal of his double murder conviction, South Carolina prosecutors say he could now face the death penalty in a new murder trial. Here's ABC's Andrew Dimbert.
Tonight, the stunning new twist in the Alex Murdaugh murder saga. Prosecutors in South Carolina signaling they may now pursue the death penalty in retrial after Murdaugh's convictions for murdering his wife and son in their home in 2021 were overturned. In a statement, the South Carolina Attorney General saying, "We're back to square one in this case, and that means all our legal options are on the table, including the death penalty."
While we strongly disagree with the Supreme Court, we respect this decision. It is currently my intention to seek a speedy retrial.
Earlier this week, the state Supreme Court overturned Murdaugh's murder convictions, the justices citing what they called shocking jury interference by former county clerk Becky Hill, who they say placed her fingers on the scales of justice and denied Murdaugh his right to a fair trial by an impartial jury, after they say she told some jurors not to be fooled by Murdaugh's defense and to watch him closely when he testified. Hill denies these allegations.
The state versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh, guilty verdict.
The jury later reaching a guilty verdict on those murder charges in less than 3 hours. Hill would resign soon after and plead guilty to perjury and misconduct charges. One juror telling me she was surprised the convictions were overturned.
I never felt that she was pushing an agenda with me, so I never felt that she was trying to get me to vote either way.
And Murdaugh will still serve a 40-year federal sentence and a 27-year state sentence on separate financial crimes. His attorneys believe they can win at retrial on those murder charges with a new jury. Whit.
A lot more to come on this case. Andrew Dimbert, thank you. Now to the massive security operation in London as rival protesters clash in the streets. ABC's Patrick Reevell is in central London at an anti-immigration march. Patrick.
We're here in central London. You can see there are thousands of people taking part in this march that's been called by the far-right activist Tommy Robinson. A march like this really a few years ago in the UK would have been unthinkable. But as you can see, it is now very, very large. It has a lot in common with the MAGA movement in the United States. You see people here wearing Make England Great Again caps. The movement is anti-immigration. People here are very angry about immigration into this country, about illegal immigration. This march also follows a disastrous result in local elections recently for Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, and the far-right party of Nigel Farage doing very well in those elections. The size of this march, again, does suggest something is changing in British politics.
Patrick Reevell for us tonight. Back here in the U.S. to the dramatic rescue of two fishermen from a sinking ship in Moss Landing, California, stranded in chilly waters for about 40 minutes. Tonight we hear from the heroic crew that came to their rescue and the new images coming in. Here's ABC's Alex Stone.
A dramatic rescue in the open ocean, miles off the California coast. Tonight, these two fishermen stranded on top of their capsized boat, saved by a nearby whale-watching boat. The two men bobbing in the water, sending out a distress call. Their boat was taking on water and then flipped. A whale-watching boat with 23 paying passengers on an 8-hour trip, redirecting, coming to their rescue. Captains Nancy Black and Evan Brodsky of Monterey Bay Whale Watch answering a scratchy distress call.
So I immediately started heading that way, and I went as fast as we could. I kind of pushed the engines over, what you're supposed to do. So, we pushed the engines hard to get there fast.
The men floating for nearly 40 minutes. They threw them life preservers and pulled them to safety. Do you feel like a hero right now?
I don't know, a hero, but I just feel like all our training paid off.
And with tonight, those two men are safe. Captain Black will be back out on the water tomorrow for their next whale watching trip. Whit.
All right, certainly great news. Alex Stone, our thanks to you. There's much more ahead on World News Tonight this Saturday. The new Pocket Watch collaboration igniting a global frenzy. One of the most memorable jingles in decades getting pulled from the airwaves in California. We'll tell you why. And dramatic new images of a plane sliding off the runway in Croatia. Next tonight, two boaters are safe after their vessel erupted into flames off Miami Beach. Good Samaritans nearby rushing in to help, pulling the pair to safety before the fire spread. Miami fire crews quickly responded, dousing the boat with water Friday night. Still no word on what may have sparked the fire. In Bangkok, at least 8 people are dead and dozens more injured following a crash between a freight train and a public bus. Teams work to pull the injured from the wreckage. The cause of the crash is under investigation. A Croatia jet damaged and evacuated after an aborted takeoff. Officials say the Airbus A220 veered off the runway and into the grass at the Split airport while heading to Frankfurt. The plane reportedly hit runway lights and a marker board before coming to a stop. All passengers and crew members, though, got off safely. When we come back, that catchy Cars for Kids jingle that Californians can't escape may soon be silenced. To the index now, that catchy Cars for Kids jingle you've probably heard 1,000 times could soon be silenced in California.
K-A-R-S, Cars for Kids.
That's the one. A judge ruling the charity behind the ads violated the state's false advertising law, saying donors weren't clear where the money was actually going. Chaos erupting at Swatch stores across the globe, with desperate buyers trying to get their hands on a highly anticipated limited edition collaboration with luxury watchmaker Audemars Piguet called the Royal Pop. The pocket watch comes in 8 colors and is priced at around $400. Still ahead, America Strong. See how California fire crews saved a Little League Field of Dreams from a blackout. America Strong and the clever firefighters.
It was just before 7 p.m. during the 3rd inning of a Little League baseball game in El Cajon, California, when the field lights went out, threatening to cancel Tuesday's critical playoff game.
We thought that we were going to have to cancel the game and potentially cancel the whole week of play.
The local fire department responding to check on the smoking power lines causing the outage. And after learning the big game was at risk, they jumped into action.
We don't want these kids to just go home and be sad. It's like, let's let them play baseball.
So they brought in a brand new rescue unit equipped with a 15-foot tall LED light tower, setting it up next to the left field line.
The game is saved. It lit up the entire outfield, good majority of the infield. It allowed us to finish the game.
After the game, the players were all smiles and thumbs up, sitting atop that rescue truck.
Those guys are true heroes, not only in the sense, but willing to rally around the community. They saw that, these boys, as well as these family members, matter. We're incredibly grateful. This is going to be a memory that we will never forget.
Well done. Have a great night.
David Muir, the most trusted anchor in America, the most watched anchor in America. Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir the #1 newscast in America.